So, what's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? JuJuan Buford, managing partner of JSB Business Solutions Group, co-founder of Next App Social, PPLSI entrepreneur. And what I want to talk about today is a discussion I just had recently with a client and good friend who was in a low personal morale situation, right? Business not generating as much revenues as they would like, feeling some kind of way, and just not really feeling all that motivated or all that confident based on what's transpired. And look, every entrepreneur has been through this situation before, right? Oftentimes, the entrepreneurs, we like to think that our success goes in a straight line, right? Up and to the right. But that's not really what happens, okay? That's not what it really looks like. You know, we've all seen, hopefully, that illustration, right? Where you see the entrepreneur struggle on what the journey looks like, and there's a bunch of squiggly lines going back and forth, right? A bunch of movement up and down, kind of like the stock market and any other type of market for that matter. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. But over the course of time, if you stay the course, if you maintain your principles and your values, you understand your value prop, you remain a constant learner, what ends up happening is your business eventually continues to go up and to the right. But once again, it's not a linear line. And so there are going to be periods of time where you just aren't having the success that you anticipate. There are going to be periods of time where you may lose a client or clients. There's going to be periods of time where the market may change on you and you have to pivot. And you're going to go through a period where you feel like everything is falling apart, right? Despite all the success that may have transpired before you, because you're going through those challenges right then and there, you're going to be feeling some kind of way about your business. We've all been there. And what I want to talk about today is resisting the urge to do what we typically will do as entrepreneurs. And you probably already know where I'm going with this, right? Typically, if you've gone through a situation where you've come upon hard times in your business, you tend to recede, right? You become more reclusive. You get to a point where you start doubling down on your processes. You start second guessing your value prop. You start second guessing what it is that you've been doing, whether or not you are still viable, right? In that one moment of time, you start feeling some kind of way, and so you get behind closed doors and you kind of close yourself off. And I'm here to tell you that is one of the worst things you can do. Look, at the end of the day, whether you're selling coffee, cars, B2B services, cleaning supply services, lashes, salon services, whatever the case may be, whatever your product service is, at the end of the day, the one thing we all have in common as entrepreneurs is that we are in the people business. We are in the people business. And so what I want to encourage you to do is, if you're in a situation where you've reached a low point in your business, I don't want you to become a recluse. That shouldn't be the reflexive automatic response. What you really need to do is actually go out into the field and engage more. You need to talk to more individuals. You need to engage more individuals. You need to share your value prop with more individuals. You need to be willing to knock on doors, show up at networking events, pick up the phone, call up clients that you've dealt with previously, have conversations with them to better understand why they chose to do business with you, and not be afraid to ask the question of, look, what can I do to do better? How can I improve my value prop? How can I be of greater service to you? How can I help your bottom line and be more effective to you, right? You want to have these conversations. And so I was just talking to, like I said before, a good client and friend, and that's what I recommended. And I shared with him something that I have done on numerous occasions. Some of the largest accounts, some of my best clients I've acquired this way, right? Where I've been in a rut, sales have been slow, things have been difficult. I'm like, man, I gotta do something. I gotta jumpstart my business. And I, for one, am never opposed to the ideal of literally picking up the phone, calling up a business owner's office, finding out when they're gonna be there, and quite frankly, popping up on them. Yeah, look, I know in this new world order of conducting business, we all wanna stay behind our phones, we all wanna stay behind Zoom, we wanna create Facebook advertisements and network on LinkedIn and Instagram, and we want to promote our business that way. But don't ever forget, at the end of the day, people do business with folks whom they like, know, and trust. And the greatest way to engender or to have someone like, know, and trust you is to sit down in front of them, look at them eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly, shake their hand, and not come in with some blazing sales pitch, but just sit down with them and talk to them about what's most important to them. Be interested in what's going on with their business. Be interested in what's going on with their lives. And be willing to sit down and listen. And then after you've listened, you've shown that you're interested, then go ahead and pose or suggest that they take a plan of action that you can assist them with, right? And this is something I've done time and time again. I remember, there's actually pictures that I posted years ago online of when I did this. I literally picked up the phone, I called a couple days in advance, and I spoke with the administrative assistant, secretary, whatever the case may be. And I said, look, let's say hypothetically the person's name is John. I said, is John going to be in the office on this particular day? And if he is, what time is he typically available for a brief conversation? And of course she goes into he's not available. He might be able to take a phone call. And I said, I understand. I really do appreciate that. And I said, so what time of day is going to be in? And she informed me that he was going to be in, I believe it was a Tuesday, that he's typically in the office between 12 and 1 o'clock. So what did I do? I confirmed that he was there early in the morning. He'd be there at 12, 1 o'clock. And of course, I was informed that he'd be busy, right? Okay, fine, great. So what did I do? I went to Subway. I bought a vegan sub. I bought a meat eater sub. And I showed up at the office. Fortunately for me that day, the administrative assistant was not there. And so I was able to walk past everybody. I found out where his office was at. Yeah, I did this. And I literally knocked on his door and said hello, kind of waved to him like, what's up? And of course, he's looking around and he's like, what's up? What's going on? How can I help you? And I said, look, man, I got Subway. Do you have 15 minutes? I got Subway. Do you have 15 minutes? My name is JuJuan Buford. I'm calling PPLSI. I've been reaching out to you for the last several weeks or so. We've been playing phone tag, email tag. Do you have a couple moments for me, right? And look, only one or two things are going to happen in this situation. Either he's going to say, I'm busy. I don't have time to chat with you. I don't have time to converse with you. And I'm going to say, great, I understand. I know, this typically probably doesn't happen. But here, Subway on me. Which one do you prefer, vegan or meat lovers, right? Here's my business card. I love the opportunity to set up a time where I can chat with you for a couple moments. So earn a little goodwill, excuse myself, head out the door. But in this particular instance, I saved him time. I saved him having to take the trip to Subway himself downtown Detroit and the inconvenience that involves, or getting in the car and driving somewhere. And so he was like, look, I'm gonna chat with you in a moment. He directed me to have a seat at an office that was in the middle of the location where he was at. And yeah, I was sitting there waiting for 35, 40 minutes now, waiting on him. But eventually he came over, he sat across the table from me, he says, what you got? And of course, I just started asking questions. I said, I went online. I did my due diligence now. I had already gone on LinkedIn. I had already been on Google. I learned a little bit about the company, learned about his position there, saw some of the content he posted. And quite frankly, I just started asking him about him and what was most important to him at the time in terms of his position there as the CEO of this particular firm. And he said, look, these are my priorities right now. And he talked about staffing. He talked about the things that all business owners are concerned about. He talked about staffing. He talked about capital. In other words, more clients, or quite frankly, other ways in which he could raise capital. He talked about operations. He talked about creating synergy and getting people on the same page and all these different things. And I listened to him for a good 5, 10 minutes. Now, he said, you only got 15 minutes. I took the 10 minutes just to listen to him. That's all I did. And maybe I had 3 minutes left, and I said, look, if I could show you a way to resolve A, B, C, and D, would it be worth can I get another 5 minutes of your time? He says, sure. So at that point, I pulled out my PowerPoint. I shared the services and how I believe I can impact the business in a positive way. And that's how I landed that account. And I'm going to tell you, I've done that time and time again. I've done that time and time again when I felt like I was in a rut, when things weren't going my way. I just went old school. And you know what? And having a conversation and recommending this to the entrepreneur I just had a conversation with, I'm going to do it again next week. There are like several companies that I've been eyeballing, having conversations, email exchanges with, phone calls with, and they haven't been rude, they haven't been obnoxious, they kind of blown me off, but they've also let me know, and some of them were receptive, just the timing was always bad. And something that I'm going to do, that I encourage individuals to do from time to time, is there is a construction company downtown Detroit, but there are also 3-4 other companies in the same block, in the same area. And I'm gonna roll up on a particular construction company that I have an interest in doing business with. I'm gonna pop in on the CEO. I've already read a book, fortunately, that talked about the company, so I have an idea of the company's culture and direction they're at, what stage they're at in their business, so that's gonna be interesting. But I'm gonna pop up with, once again, it's gonna be Jimmy John's this time. I'm gonna pop up with Jimmy John's, a little bit closer to the location. I'm gonna have a conversation with them. And ideal world, once again, 1 or 2 things are gonna happen. They're gonna say, I don't have time. I'm gonna leave Jimmy John's, buy some goodwill, go on about my business, not be rude and obnoxious. Hey, I'll follow with you. Or perhaps they'll give me, 10, 15 minutes. I'll take the 10, 15 minutes and I'll listen. And then I'll use the last couple minutes to share some of the areas in which I can be of help and say, look, if I can show you a way to do this at this particular price point or in this particular manner, could I have another 5 minutes of your time? Ideally, say yes. I'm putting my PowerPoint, do the pre-tape. But this is what I'm also going to do. Whether that person says yes, I'm going to do business with you. Whether they're open having a conversation with me or not. Now, hopefully, if they say yes, it makes it even easier. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk out the door and I'm going to knock on the door of 3-4 other companies. And trust me, the same tactic will have been employed. I will have gone online, did a little bit of research, learned as much as I could about them, and then I'm going to know when they're going to be there. So I'm gonna stack these drops right on top of each other, and I'm gonna walk in and I'm gonna do the exact same thing, except ideally, if the company that I'm taking aim at says, look, yeah, that makes sense to do business with you. Now I got something in the bag, right? The one thing I know about other business owners and entrepreneurs, if they're in the same neighborhood, is they're aware of each other. They know about each other. They probably have lunch together. They probably interact with each other. Birds of a feather flock together, right? And in ecosystems like this, people are very connected. And so I'm gonna walk into the other business owners and say, hey, I just stopped by so-and-so construction company. They're a client of mine. I'm working with them. And I figured since I was in the area, I'd say hello to you too. Do you have a couple moments? I got Jimmy John's, vegetarian or vegan, right? And I'm gonna take the same approach. And if that person says yes, now I got 2 companies. Hey, next company, hey, I'm stopping by, I just had a conversation with a couple clients, prospects, so-and-so company, and I was in the area, I figured I'd stop by and say hello. Do you have a couple moments to spare, vegan or vegetarian? And this is the approach that I'm gonna take. And if I do that 3 or 4 times, I am confident that I may get the door slammed in my face twice, maybe even thrice. But even if one of those individuals is willing to give me 5 minutes, even if one of those individuals is willing to give me 10, 15 minutes, and allow me to develop rapport and shake their hand and say hello, and just have a brief conversation and show that I'm interested, that I'm a real professional, and I'm not, that's what I'm looking for, that I'm not desperate, but I am urgent, that I am serious, right? That I'm not like dying of thirst, but I'm not trying to pretend like I don't need the business, right? So that's why I was willing to take the risk to come down here. And I'm gonna keep my promise, keep it 10, 15 minutes, and see how that goes. And that's something I encourage them to do. So number 1, once again, don't become the recluse. Don't become the entrepreneur, the guy or that gal that, once again, disappears when things go bad. At the end of the day, you're only one person away. You're only one person removed from having a really good experience. You're only one person away from outbreak, from breaking from the pack. At the end of the day, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're people, and we're in the relationship business. We are in the relationship business. You are always one relationship away. If you don't know the person, somebody else that you may know knows the person that you need to have a conversation with. So the first thing I encourage you to do is not always, once again, to disappear into the closet, disappear into the living room, disappear in the bedroom 3-4 days, right? If you've had success, if you're beta tested, you've leaned in, your value prop is evident, you've been acquiring clients, you've been acquiring customers, sometimes it's just necessary to break up the modus operandus and go out and just chat and have a conversation with more people and establish solid relationships. Be able to develop rapport, be able to create a situation where more people simply like, know, and trust you. This is the approach that I encourage individuals to adopt. Hope this serves you well. Of course, if it does, share, comment, like, all that fun stuff, so the wonderful social media algorithm knows I'm bringing value. And obviously subscribe too, right? So with that being said, everyone have an incredible day. I celebrate success in advance. Goodbye for now.